I just got some amazing news. My 200-page fantasy ttrpg adventure, Dragontown and the Darkness Below, has been nominated for an Emmy Award. It's in the Best Family Game / Product category. Voting has just started and is open to the public, so if you want to kick me a vote, that'd be rad. The link is in the description. But also check out all the other amazing games nominated. There's some seriously rad stuff, especially in the family game category. So any nomination is big, exciting stuff, especially for someone who is writing and illustrating and publishing and distributing all their own projects. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to take a closer look at Dragontown and explain why I think it's a super fun adventure, and then tell you about all the thought and design decisions that went into making the book and the box set a reality. Last year, I ran a Kickstarter campaign to help me create the hardcover collection and the special edition box set, and 600 backers helped me bring them to life. Now they're here and available for everyone. Way back when I initially set out to make Dragontown, I had 3 main goals I was trying to accomplish. The first one, I wanted to create a whimsical, save-the-world style fantasy adventure in a wild setting with lots of crazy characters and magic items. You know, I love fantasy with all of my heart, and I wanted my first big adventure to be a love letter. The wonderful thing about fantasy is that you can take a trope like a dragon making a ruined castle its lair and flip it on its head by making that dragon the mayor of a nearby town, and it still works. You know, what happens when the dragon mayor goes missing? That's what the players have to figure out, and if they can solve the mystery, it'll lead them down a path, a totally insane, sprawling underground adventure path to save the world from the darkness below. Now, honestly, Dragontown is a high fantasy adventure. You know, there's crazy magic, there's bat cultists and bug people living inside a giant worm, and an entire underground mushroom civilization, and ember trolls that spend all their time chilling out in lava pools until their leader gets mind controlled by the darkness. You know, I love getting weird with the locations and the characters just to surprise the players and see how they're gonna react. But at the same time, all this crazy, fantastical stuff is going on. Dragontown was written and designed with OSR sensibilities. So each of those crazy environments is written and presented as a living place, whether the players engage with every aspect of them or not. And that sets up some really meaningful choices for the players that can have some like seriously dire consequences on the world and the story and all of it. And just because the art is playful and cartoony doesn't mean that danger and death are ever present. So there's at least a dozen big scary creatures in this book that just want to eat the players, not to mention the evil wizards and the greedy elves, and of course the darkness below that wants to extinguish all magic and plunge the world into eternal night. And I don't know about you, but when I read through an adventure and I say to myself, I have no idea, I can't imagine how the players are going to overcome this obstacle, that's the stuff I just love. And that's exactly how I approach writing every chapter in this book. Okay, my second main goal was to make this adventure really, really easy to use. So if I'm gonna make a big 200-page campaign setting, I want GMs to feel like they could actually run the entire thing and not be super intimidated by the process. So each chapter is like its own little adventure. In fact, even if you don't want to run an entire 12-chapter adventure, you can take out the chapters you like and run them as one-shots or individual, like few session adventures. And by breaking the adventure up into these chapters, you don't have to read an entire 200 pages before running the game. You could totally start by only reading the first chapter before running a game and then seeing where the adventure takes you. The actual design and layout is simple, 2 columns with some selective bolding and bullet points and simple, evocative prose. Standard stuff that makes running the game at the table a lot easier. And as you can tell, this book is filled jam-packed filled with illustrations. Each chapter has its own map, I guess sometimes several maps that are designed to really help you run the adventure. So some are top-down, some are side views, some are isometric, there's normal grids, hex grids, point crawls, whatever the map needs to be the best help for a GM to get the adventure to the table while also like sparking the imagination of the players. And pretty much every character of this adventure is illustrated again so the GM can simply look at the drawing and be able to describe the character and get a good sense of their personality without wasting space or time on a bunch of extra text. Of course, there is written information too with what they're doing in the place and what they want and any quests or magic items they might have. And the big thing that I put so much time and thought into was I knew that Dragontown was going to be a system neutral adventure and I wanted it to be really easy to run with whatever fantasy tabletop role-playing game you want to play. Everything in the book has this 1 to 4 scale that helps you easily convert to whatever game you're playing. So for example, all the monsters have these simple stat blocks, a 1 to 4 scale for health, armor, speed, and damage. So a 1 would be like an underwhelming score, like the speed of a zombie, like slower than average. And a 4 would be like an overwhelming stat, like the armor of an iron dragon. And it makes it super simple to adapt the monsters to whatever game you're playing. I'm really proud of how it works. And it feels super intuitive once you've done it like one time converting something to the game that you're playing. Okay, hopefully you can see that a lot of thought and effort went into making this adventure easy to use and fun to read and explore at the table. But the other thing I really wanted was just to make a badass book and box set. I love physical books and box sets so much. So I thought if I'm gonna make thousands of copies of these, I better make sure it's exactly what I want. So the hardcover book has a cloth spine and spot gloss on the cover. The binding is Smith sewn, so it's super sturdy and lays open easier. There's a bookmark ribbon to keep your place, and the pages have that crispy black and white printing on nice, thick, uncoated FSC paper. I want you to feel like you're holding a special tome when this book is in your hands. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels good to hold it. And the special edition box set, oh man, so much work went into each component of this thing. I wanted it to have everything you need to play Dragontown at the table in person with your friends. So of course it comes with the book, and there's some extra postcards that were stretch goals that are like one-shots that kind of expand the area around Dragontown even more. There's this illustrated GM screen that has a bunch of helpful reference info on the inside and an artwork of all the monsters and bad guys on the outside that your players can look at the whole time you're sending them through this crazy adventure. All of the maps I mentioned earlier have poster size, player-facing versions, so you can slap them down on the table and get your players excited to explore this new crazy location. I also made these 2 coins that you can use as markers on the map, or you can use them as D2s. Then there's this little apple sack dice bag with a set of magic apple polyhedral dice. Magic apples are like Dragontown's main thing. Like, there's all these apple orchards everywhere, and I guess the main thing is the dragon mare. But the magic apples are important, so having a dice set that looks like little apples seemed super fun to me. There's also a whole bunch of magic item cards for you to give out to your players when they discover all the crazy magic items. And I might have even put a little secret Easter egg in the box that I actually haven't heard anyone mention that they found yet, so that's something to look for. I'm just really, really proud of the book and the box set, and it feels great to be nominated for an Emmy alongside some other amazing games. Go check out the voting page. It's open to everyone, and it's actually a great way to discover new ttrpgs. So even if you aren't voting, go click through and find some fun games. If you'd like to pick up a copy of Dragontown, it's in my online shop. All the links are down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!